follow me, guys.
There you go. She got to knock on the door first.
That's a spirit thing. That's a spirit thing, not a, you know.
So guys, we have something very special tonight here. We are with our friends, Bloody Mary, and we are with our friend from Cajun Queen Tours.
Cajun Queen.
I have something that somebody said, which I thought was funny.
Okay.
Since she is the neighbor on the other half of this double cottage, well, this double shotgun, I guess. It's somewhere in between the two. They said, oh, Cajun Queen on one side, Voodoo Queen on the other. You know, so that's a way.
Yes.
We are in the old homestead of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau on St. Anne Street in the French Quarter. Her old homestead. Before this was even part of the regular Vieux Carré. This was almost the outskirts of town, and one of the first buildings on this block was the original building here, before everything was so close together. So the original foundation is here, and the spirit of place is definitely still alive. And I'm tapping into it, and she's tapping into it, and now you get to tap into it, especially if you go to my YouTube at Bloody Mary, New Orleans. I'm Voodoo Queen in New Orleans Voodoo, and it was handed down from the previous Queen Margaret, and there was a lot of study, and there's a lot of apprenticeship, and a certain ritual baptism. And then I am also Voodoo Mambo Asagwe in Haitian Voodoo, which is a very specific form of initiation locked away for a week going through various things. Now I'm also on top of that, a Yaya Nakisi Malongo, which is a Congo tradition of Palo, and I'm born and raised New Orleans Catholic. My mom was a St. Joseph nun before she married my dad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My family's been here since 1718.
Wow.
Oldest relative would have been from the Alsace-Lorraine, close to Joan of Arc. You know, over that area, coming here. My grandma, great-grandma, great-great-grandma used to live directly across that street in that orange building over there. So I have ghosts over there, and ghosts over here, and ghosts in my bag, and ghosts in the machine. You know, I have my own spirits, and I think they prompted me to get this. The timing and everything, I guess, just turned out right. So I am initiated in those traditions, plus I'm a spiritualist and a psychic medium, so I do spiritism types of seance as well as ritual. And with all that, and a Mama Isi of the river, I could baptize you, marry you, and bury you. Well, that's what all priests do. So whatever a priest can do, for I'm registered with the city of New Orleans and the state, a legal, you know, legally able to do all those things. You know, so I have a lot of weddings. But I do cemetery weddings, but mainly elopements, small, you know, small ones. But yes, I do them wherever you want them done, more or less. So fortunately, I do more weddings than I do funerals. But it's some baptisms. I got to baptize my grandson last June. And I do the June 23rd voodoo baptisms, dunking you down in the bayou like Marie Laveau did in that particular style, river baptism. So I got to do it with my own grandson. And as I sang to Le Grand Zombie and Le Grand Crocodile, I got a gator that came right up next to me and sat right there.
And left you
and I wanted that. Okay, but he didn't eat my grandson, so it's okay.
Right. And he left you alone. Yeah.
He watched. Then he got to eat a lot because we had all the offering food. It was like, okay, here you go, dude.
And they don't want you. They just want the food.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here with both of you. If you guys read up about Bloody Mary, she is literally everywhere. She's been on TV. I mean, documentaries. I mean,
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of national,
legendary
ones. That and not it will get me nowhere. But yeah, you know.
And she's awesome, and literally we're having so much fun, and we really wanted to come here because we want to bring education. You know, some people hear the word voodoo and they freak out.
Well, they're probably also not from here.
And that's another thing too, because when you live in New Orleans, you pretty much know, about the culture. You know, you're like my husband's born and raised. You know, you're.
Do you freak out because I'm white?
I personally don't care.
Which is what no one here does.
Yeah.
I mean, 90% of anyone here does. Because it's been black and white for at least 200 years. And people are acting as like, New Orleans culture is different.
Right.
Yeah.
And just immersed in New Orleans culture. It's in our food, in our music, it's in our customs, it's in a lot of things. And the spirits woke me up since I was a kid. And I kept having to find out why. And they also gave me people to teach or help me understand why of all different ethnicities. And most of my friends growing up here were either Cuban or Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
They were more island people. We had so much, it seems like so much more of a Hispanic population that way. And then, so I was introduced into voodoo and to Santeria and to I saw things.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time in the graveyards because my grandma would be dragging me to the graveyards to see where so and so is buried and so and so, and I saw
And we're
rituals and I
Catholic.
saw spirits. And
We all were not
before
Catholic.
church or after
Aaron and I
church,
Catholic
went
too.
to the graveyard.
right.
Nobody does that anymore except tourists.
Yeah, like
But-
I couldn't figure out why is it that I was always going down Bourbon Street on Easter Sunday, and it was for the parade, but it was also after going to the cemetery. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
I was
was
about to say,
like
that was the
whole
reason.
thing.
And that's the next question too. So how did you get started, and what do you do? And that's for people that hear, okay, voodoo. We're going to educate. This is an educational video to talk about. We're all different, right? Every person you meet is all different, and that's what you could do. Learn from each other, support each other. Don't just bash. Let's learn, because I know we're learning today. Aaron knows a little more about the voodoo than I do. So I'm here actually learning,
There's voodoo and there's hoodoo, which is the folk magic, the customs of, getting more money, getting a job, doing this, don't do that. You could say that's superstitious.
Yeah.
But, different things that we do here, I kept looking at it as like, why are you doing that? My grandma would say something, why are you doing that? My grandpa would say something different. My mama, why are you doing that? She'd say something different. It's like, oh, you lying. I've got to start digging. Or not lying, or they didn't know. But they said what they heard and they didn't question it. I questioned everything.
Right.
Curiosity as well. So yeah, I grew up seeing things, and spirit definitely was calling me since I was a kid. And there's a great understanding, or there's supposed to be a great understanding of the spirit world within voodoo, because the ancestors are part of the pantheon, as it is in Celtic beliefs and a lot of other belief systems, Native American, Indian, shamanism. I got that wee bit of American Indian blood. And then I also have some gypsy blood on my dad's side, Eastern European stuff. So there's all kinds of different mixtures as well in there somewhere. So blended it all out, but voodoo just made sense. If I didn't understand something about spirits, I found out, okay, well, voodoo believes it, okay, so it's leading me there, and that believes that it's leading me there. And that's kind of how it happened. And my sister was already involved. She was working, poor thing, working at the Voodoo Museum for almost 45 years or something, like 40 years, whatever.
Wow.
Since the 1973 or 4 when it opened. So I got more interested there, met more people there. And, I always listened to the river, and I always listened to the trees, and I always loved to sit out by the bayous and sing to the gators. And I wasn't afraid of them even as a kid.
No.
And I wasn't afraid of the ghosts as a kid. But it seems to all make sense within the religion of voodoo, so I was just pulled.
You had a
that way.
calling.
I was pulled
You had a
that
true
way,
calling.
yeah. And then from the cultural perspective and its influence on New Orleans customs and ideas and everything, the more I researched, the more it really was such an important thing to explain to people. And there are certain things you can learn from academics, and there's certain things you can only learn from experience and initiation. But it gives you a fuller understanding working direct with the spirits. And there are good priests and bad priests in every single religion that exists.
Just like good people and bad people,
Yeah,
right?
that's the same thing.
Every
I
day.
mean, unfortunately, they're all filled with humans. Plus, I'm like what they called a griot, which is also like a bard. So the storyteller and the seed sounds and the ritual aspect. So I'm keeping the stories alive. I opened the museum for that reason, not because of the intense dark story that happens to also be there, but because I wanted to record all the stories and take things that may be dying since Katrina and keep their stories alive.
That's awesome.
Make a display.
Yeah, that's
Ghosts are our history. Some of them want their stories corrected.
Right.
Some of them want their stories fixed if it's not corrected. They want a different angle shown, and they tell you in weird ways. People coming up to you, bringing you things, information and dreams. Documents coming to your door.
Yes.
All those things have happened to me when people find out you're doing this. Let me send you that.
Yeah.
The information gets to you somehow.
What are these that you keep?
These are
Yes.
chamalongas. They're 4 pieces of blessed coconut that you do for divination.
Okay.
Basically, yes, no, maybe kind of quick answers. This is my studio. This is my office. I'm writing a book here, and this is my studio where I do my YouTube and a lot of interviews, seances, ghost hunts as I'm writing the book, and I'm trying to get messages direct from the spirits to see if there's something they want to say. So I've done a lot of research. Before this, I've assisted the biography of Marie Laveau by Carolyn Long. I have my own book from 8 years ago that has a lot about Marie Laveau. I've done hundreds of TV shows. And I had a book already written 8 years ago. It was too big of a book. So we chopped it up and then it didn't make it. But now I'm finding the spirits want me to add a whole different way to it since I've been here the past, whatever it is, 6, 7 months or something like that. But first of all, the original house would have started about right here. It went all the way over there to the fence. So most of it was more on this side. It went all the way there. It went, follow me.
And the original house, there was a house fire, correct?
No.
No.
Fire. They tore it down. It was in terrible shape. So sometimes people have misinterpreted the word raised. So they said the house was raised. It wasn't on fire. It was torn down. It was dilapidated. However, the original foundation is still underneath. So that started there, small Creole cottage. This is my present altar room, seance room, and things like that. We have the altar set up to Marie Laveau and the mirrors to help the spirits go through. And even though I thought this was my incubation area from my dolls before I brought them to my haunted museum, turns out there's a lot of kid ghosts here that want them to stay. I make voodoo dolls. I understand dolls. I collect dolls. Dolls are sometimes haunted. Dolls are vessels. Dolls are empty. Spirits are not physical. Sometimes spirits like to put on a new dress and it might be a doll. They might slip in. So that's why people are creeped out by dolls. I like dolls. I have always liked
love
dolls.
dolls too, so.
I watch a move, I do this, and my grandma collected dolls. I collected dolls with her. And dolls keep falling on me. Everywhere I go, we buy all these dolls, so I have a large collection. I had some personal ones that kept growing. So, dolls. And then I got a new load, and I said, well, let me take them in here so I can observe them, so I can watch them, because see if they move. I have a story for people, And then I start noticing seance after seance, ghost hunt after ghost hunt, spirits are saying how much they love the dolls. I'm like, well, gee, I wasn't even thinking about that, but all right, I'll leave some here. So anyway, we have an extremely haunted air condition that's busted like 6 times. All right, so this is my techie room. This might be where I do a lot of the interviews. This is where I use Ghost Box Radio, connect with electronically. So half of my experts that I bring in are co-workers who are adepts either in electronic mediumship like ghost boxes and recordings, or psychic mediums or priests or priestesses, and in some cases architects. So if you come here into the kitchen, so the original house would have ended about right here. Then this was the back porch. So this is from my YouTube, which is at Bloody Mary New Orleans yesterday.
Get it
that
in.
We did a whole bunch, a whole thing with a food historian, and I'm kind of a cultural historian and an author too, but she's a food historian and author, and Sicilian and St. Joseph's Day and all these kinds of things. So we did a lot of food superstitions for Friday the 13th. Okay. So that's kind of, so this is what you got left over here, coconut, red beans, different things. So the kitchen, I make gree-grees. I might make my gree-grees, I might make my voodoo dolls. And I do different kind of kitchen witching things. So that's what this is. So this would have sort of been like on Marie Laveau's back porch. Especially without air conditioning, people spend a lot of time on back porches, right? So from the layout that I've done, with the architect, the original house would have been flat on the ground. Right here, so this is the back porch. Right here, but you see it went all the way to the fence. There was like no side at all. It went like right up to the property line, which is odd for me, but. So then there was a servants' quarters building here. Kind of went to there. I don't know what to expect out here. So the other outbuilding would have been here. to over there. And then on her side, later in history, they added 2 more outbuildings. Wow. So one of the outbuildings would have been a third of your house over on the side by the outside porch.
Right.
But the building itself, the main building up more, was a square.
Right.
So you had,
Creole cottage.
then there was a skinny, long, old one up front and another outbuilding out here. Some of them could have been ice houses. One of them could have been, you know, an outside tool shed.
What about an outhouse?
They did more chamber pots than outhouses, but they're all technically outhouses, but not necessarily to pee in. But they could have been, but they had the honeypot guy
Right.
that came around. So this was the original back of the property, but the original back of the property was a few years before they built the house on the other side. So they might have used a little bit of that yard. And this was later too. So not a lot later, but a little bit later than the original house that Catherine built. So Marie's grandmother. We grew herbs that back here, like growing in her soil. I mean, a lot of them fried and died this summer because no matter what I did, the sun just killed us and anything here. And
112 degrees.
the elephant ears will not go away. Yeah, 112, 120, 100, terrible. So she had part of your building was over the old outbuilding. Then there was like where your back door is, the side porch looked like it would have been part of the old outhouse. So then there would have been so if that was, let's say, the back part, then where your door is would have been the cement. So then the house would have been over there. So you had we paced it out with the architect,
Right.
To see how it was. Because the main house wasn't that big, wasn't that big. But they had all the outhouses and people didn't care. They slept on top of each other and things. She had a hell of a lot of children.
I was researching that recently, that the rumor is she had 17.
No.
That wasn't true.
The
right?
rumor used to be 15.
Okay.
And it's very possible she had 15. But there's only, I think,
seven
or
they said
9 that are
before.
verified. But that doesn't mean anything.
Correct, it doesn't.
I mean, even though they look over records as fine as you can, she had a lot that died as infants, and there were some that may have not even made the mark that they were born or died. Because of the way
Sure.
the infant mortality was here, it's very possible. She's a very busy woman, is all I have to say.
Yes.
Because if she's pregnant that much and working that much and being a nurse and nursing people with yellow fever, I'm surprised any of them survive. People talk about the magic. People talk about the bullshit. People talk about the TV versions of her. But she had a hard life. But she is a symbol of great perseverance because
that's
she
what I was
kept
gonna say
going,
next.
Yes, she's mystical. Yes, she's magical. But she was here in horrific times with plague and people, and she kept going on,
And she helped so many people.
Yeah, she did.
She was a healer.
And she made a lot of people afraid, but hey, that goes with the territory. They make up shit about me. They make up shit about her.
You fear what you don't understand.
Oh, absolutely. Or you're looking for a scapegoat, or if it makes you feel less because you don't do that. Now, another thing that kind of gets me is this whole obsession with her being a hairdresser. Being a hairdresser is absolutely fine. She did that. They say she also maybe was a bit of a seamstress. She did a lot of odd jobs like you, like me, like you, right?
She had talents.
Over-
Everyone's got multiple talents.
Well, I mean, you do different things at different points in your life, right?
Correct.
But it was obvious that it was her healing and her herbal work and her mystical work that people came to her for. And she was very politically active. And I don't mean trying to run for office, but she probably could have. She was very politically active, especially in women's rights and in prison rights and whatever was going on at the time. So she was busy. She was a very busy woman. And so was her grandmother who raised her here. And she did a lot. I mean, building this house in the late 1700s as a freed slave, that's unheard of in any other part of this country. So Catherine needs to be saluted, and she's been very ever present here since I've been doing this research.
Wow.
Have you ever been told that you're not supposed to talk bad about the dead? Especially this one.
true.
Okay?
So I have one question.
Sure, one question per customer.
The biggest thing that people debate is if she is truly buried in St. Louis Cemetery.
Oh, that's an
#1.
old debate. But yeah, I guess it's still right. Yes.
It's still, I see it
still
all the
runs
time. People
online all
still
the time.
ask that.
Oh yeah,
all the
I mean they
time.
say all kind of dumb things online. Things that have been dead and buried 20 years ago, as a new generation comes, will wake up again. Now, as far as the records are concerned, she was never moved. by her own pen, she asked to never be moved. You would hope that somebody would listen to her wishes, right, like that. There's been a lot of specific research done on the tomb, even a book specifically on who is in the tomb and when they were buried, and a lot of them weren't even relatives. Many were neighbors, many were children. She was very beneficent. She let people stay here alive, and she gave them a place to sleep when they were dead, too, it seems, and her daughter continued in that. But there was no record of it ever being opened, ever her being moved. Now, people like to say, oh, well, you know, I know the secret real place, or I do this. Robert Talante wrote a lot of fictional books in the 1940s, I believe it was, maybe, or so. He started that. He also started the three Marie thing, the two Marie 1 and Marie Laveau 2 thing. He took a lot of liberties in his writings, and that was I guess, the main book for many years about Marie Laveau that people take a lot of things from. But her spirit certainly seems to be there, and there's no record of it, her ever being moved and specific saying, don't move me. I want to stay in this thing. She had a rule. Now, if somehow, you know, somebody in her voodoo troupe went and got her in the middle of the night to protect her body from being stolen or something like that, there's definitely no record of that.
So all the X's that are put on her grave
Were
exactly in the past. Let's say that back. Because I guess, do people still try to put the X's
I'm sure
on?
they would still try to put the X in the grave, but the Catholics, you know, they got their panties in a bunch, and they don't want
And it's
the X's.
monitored and
And they
watched.
want to make it so that they try. This was a bad thing that I've said from the very beginning. Don't lie to someone and say it was never tradition to try to stop it. Because when you make something taboo, people just want to go back behind your back, and then they'll do it worse. I believe that if we educated properly, that people would want to do it properly. And using brick dust as a chalk, and it could wash away in the rain. But when they pull out the nail polish and the lipstick and that kind of thing, then it becomes a problem.
So
Then
what
it
do
doesn't
they
come up.
What do they try to do on the grave? I know there's the X's, and what does it mean? What does it resemble?
It's
when they're
opening the
going
crossroads, like I just said. So
Yeah,
you
the crossroads.
knock on it, you open the way, and you make the three. It's everything's the Trinity. The three X's, leave an offering. Now you can also make the X's on the ground. You can make the X's in the air. There is something about, you know, opening the way with symbols, signatures, hieroglyphs, and the X was a simple cosmogram and crossroads. There's more elaborate, and fancier geometric designs that are part of VOODOO's for particular spirits, of which she has gotten one herself with snakes and hearts and other such things. But the X is the basic. One-armed physical manifestation, one-armed spiritual manifestation. The center point is the crossroads where spirits are. So, and three, everything is in the Trinity, in the original Trinity, Mother, Father, Child. So, there's a numerological aspect. There's the brick dust being, you know, magical, old red brick dust. So there's a reason behind all of that. Some records showed earlier they might have used pencil marks, but brick dust is better than pencil marks as far as rain is concerned to come down. But then, you know, they stopped. We knew they wanted them to stop the X's, but when they stopped letting you leave offerings, that's when people were real, at least me, she too. Marie Laveau was used to getting a lot of offerings. I brought stuff from people from all over the world, especially all over the country, who were sick, who had cancer, who wanted to get into school, who had really important things that they wanted to ask Marie Laveau for. And I know of several documented miracles that were achieved by going to a pilgrimage at her tomb, and sometimes I helped. So I've done weddings there, I've done funerals there, and I've brought a lot of petitions from people there. I've also paid a lot of money in the restoration, cleaned it up on many occasions. You know, and gave back to the cemetery, and then for many years we paid the Archdiocese direct and insured everyone that went in there. So, you know, we tried to give back, you know.
That's awesome. So our tour guide, Cajun Queen Tours, is going to take us through Marie Laveau's house. So it is one side of the existing house right now, and we were just in the other side of the house with Bloody Mary. So this is going to be a really, really cool, interesting time because we're going to hear a lot of stories. You guys ready? Let's go in.
So come on in, we have our foyer.
Watch out for little one.
And then, do you want some lights on, or you got good enough light? I did light some candles for you. That light is supposed to be going on automatically, and that's one of the weird things. It's constantly changing the time on my automatic timer. That's one of the things too.
I think this brings the proper.
Absolutely. I do have my wall of voodoo dolls, just to show you, just paying homage. And then, of course, I always have my trusty dusty sage for cleansing whenever I need it. I try to always have fresh flowers as well. You know, the spirits are felt here. And again, you know, I bring my own. So this is a wall of my grandmother's handkerchiefs. And one night I was sleeping, and you can see I have these fabulous pocket doors that are original to this home. It's the only ones left in both of our units, the front ones, you know, because they put closets in. And these were my grandmother's handkerchiefs. I had them all framed, and you can clearly see that one is missing. And come to find out, a voodoo priestess and witch was in my house and said that it was my dad trying to get my attention. Because one night, I mean, I sleep right here, it came off and crashed and shattered. I still have it to be framed again, because you can see they're very unique frames. And that was my dad trying to get my attention. I didn't think anything of it because I really wasn't about it. I just live here, you know. Mm-hmm. But then when other people come in, everybody's got something to say. You know, typical of the homes here in the quarter that we do get this lovely, and the weather now finally is so perfect.
It is conducive to this.
Yes,
and
my son's gonna come and put some more floor lights on here for me, and yeah.
And this is a true shotgun house.
True shotgun. So like I said, the renovations that they did, they got rid of the pocket doors, put in closets, and put in doors. Yeah, so when I first moved in, you know, I'm bustling around like I still got all these goofy projects, but I was bustling through, and one of the first things that happened that we were talking about, the warnings that Marie Laveau sent, was one of my hat pins was stabbed in one of my avocados that are usually sitting right here in this fruit basket. I got my other fruit back here. And it caught me, you know, like, how did that happen? You know, how long has that been there? How, you know, and again, that reader said that was Marie Laveau warning me about, you know, a relationship I shouldn't have been in. I was warned about it from another reader, and c'est la vie, you know, here I am.
And that's what we say, like, not everyone experiences things.
Right.
So some people may not believe in it.
Absolutely.
Because they haven't experienced it. But just because it hasn't come to you or it hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't.
Exactly.
And we all experience things through dreams, reality, right? We all experience different things.
Right. Yeah. So this is the backyard that I was talking about. This has been set up before I got here, even these offerings. As you can see, strange little things have showed up here, and but I don't recommend coming here. Some strange little drawings. You know, this place was vacant, and so I think some people came into here, you know, when it was vacant, and I don't know what any of this means. Maybe she would know. But I didn't even focus on those when the other reader came here. But I saw her whole demeanor change while she was here, and then we went back inside, and she was very curious about my family picture wall. And then that's when she told me that at that time, because I had just done a cleansing after, you know, the unwanted being was here, I had done a cleansing, a couple of them, and she said that my dad was here because he was here to warn me about my health, that I have some kind of issue going on that I need to have addressed, and I have been. You know, I have been doing it. So my dad, you know, we talked about that. And those are the things about this house, you know, that they're welcoming to me. It's not scary. It's just a beautiful thing to know that, you know, my dad was here. I know others have been here as well, but that was the big reading on that.
She embraces it.
And that's what you have to do. You have to embrace it. Because not everyone has that.
One second. Speaking of embrace, how?
This is the cutest little pup in the world.
Yeah. Boo kitty.
Oh, this is her princess.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's why she
Pardon
gets
the interruption.
I'm dog sitting right now as we're listening.
I'll call you when I go out.
She's like, we love our pups.
I do a lot of VIP van, full city and cemetery
Right,
tours,
okay.
some walking tours, and then I have the museum that's open and after hours events and a whole shop. I have a whole shop.
So what is at the museum? What is at the shop really quick for those that want
I
to
have
come to New
a
Orleans
voodoo
and see
spirit
you?
shop on one side. I have the haunted museum with my haunted collection on the other side. I have a seance room where I do seances, readings,
Okay.
and things like that. A huge, beautiful courtyard that I could do weddings, workshops, and have my
very nice.
Paracon. I'm doing
Okay.
a book signing event like the Monday before Halloween. So I have
very
different
nice.
things and
Okay.
3 events monthly that I do with different authors or different people that come to town. So there's
Very
there's
nice.
that,
Okay.
and then there's upstairs there's a hidden secret attic that I have haunted dolls, like the one just on there for sale, and oddities and
Okay.
vintage clothing. So I have that on one side,
Okay.
and then I have a area that we dedicate more to ghost hunting that has about 5 to 7 regular spirits that we
Okay.
contact with. But we have 13 spirits that came with the place, plus my haunted collection, which has
Okay.
residual energy connections.
Yeah.
And, other people's spirits that they bring in. Then that courtyard has a carriage house in the back and a stable, so I got a ghost horse back there,
I'd love to
and a
see
guy
that.
by the name of Mason. So, it's a whole
There's a whole
complex,
lot.
and it's a beautiful slice of life
Okay.
for Creole life because it's got a lot of outbuildings intact.
Yeah.
So they have a tendency not to last all
No.
the time. 'cause they
We gotta go there
run out of
someday.
We
You
do.
gotta-
We're
you do.
definitely going to come back
You
to
do.
your museum, definitely, and check that out. I'd love to see it. I mean, it's an honor to be here, an honor to sit down with you, and thank you for taking time with us and getting to
You're
know
welcome.
you. And Cajun Queen does amazing tours. Tell them what kind of tours you do around the city.
Well, one of them, the ghost, vampire, and voodoo, all in one, because it seems like that's why a lot of people come here. They're just very curious.
I
And
had
I-
a tour of the undead, which was the same thing.
Exactly, and I'm not anything with voodoo, but like I said, it calls you. This place called me to be here, and took a long time to get it. And then, just because of the series of things that happened, but, and since I've been in there, the contact that has happened, just because I always say I bring my own ghosts.
But you take them around the city in a certain kind of vehicle.
Yeah, that she does that.
Yes,
Yeah.
the pedicab.
Yes.
I'll do pedicab, and
Walking.
bus, walking, and car.
Well, it was an honor to meet you.
Nice
and
to
it's
meet
good. And thank you for having us. And thank you for everything, for spending your time with us too.
Thank y'all.
We
It's been
see
great.
her a lot. We love her. She's a good person.
that.
So I guess we're gonna say goodnight.
Les le bon temps relais.
Good night. Aye, Bobo.
Let the good times roll.
Good night, guys. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support. We hope you got to learn more about Marie Laveau tonight.
Thank you.